He was troubled from the start, but her rejection sent him over the edge. She woke up with the start. What woke her? She wasn't having a bad dream. Did she hear something? There. What is that? It sounds like knocking. Where is it coming from? It's not from the front door. It sounds too close. Wait, it's coming from inside the wall. Hello viewers, today in this video, I will tell you the story of Daniel LaPlante, the boy in the cupboard, who killed too many people. So further delay, let's begin the video. An hour outside Boston, Massachusetts lies an historic small town named Townsend. But not all was quaint and safe in this picturesque town. Just like any other place, it had its dark side. One of its residents, who thrived in this darkness, was Daniel LaPlante. Daniel LaPlante was born in 1970, and for most of his early life, he suffered physical, emotional, and sexual abuse from his own father. He was dyslexic and socially awkward. His appearance was undesirable. He was unclean, unkempt, and suffered from severe acne. And he was severely bullied in school. Daniel's mother put him into counseling to deal with the trauma and abuse by his father. Daniel was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. But the help Daniel so desperately needed was nowhere to be found. For the next year, Daniel was sexually abused by his psychiatrist. Yet another adult male in his life took advantage of his vulnerability and mental state. In order to have a sense of control over his chaotic and dramatic life, Daniel turned to petty theft. He was only 15. Most nights, he would scout around town and break into homes. He started by stealing small valuables, things that would not be missed or immediately noticed. He soon grew bored and needed more excitement. Daniel grew bolder and discovered that he enjoyed playing with his victims. At one house, he would steal a few items. In the next house, he simply moved things around or rearranged the furniture. And another house, he would steal things and replace them with random items he brought himself. It was a game, and he won every time. But eventually, his behavior turned more sinister. But one house and one family piqued his interest to a frightening level. In 1986, the Bowen family had just lost their wife and mother to cancer. Frank Bowen was struggling with the loss of his wife and partner. He was suddenly a single father, and he needed to be strong for his two teenage daughters, Tina and Karen. For several weeks, Tina had been talking with a boy on the phone. He went to a different school, and his name was Danny. He was self-described as tall, athletic, handsome, and popular. Tina was smitten and could not wait for their first date. But when that night finally came, and Tina opened the front door, the boy that was standing there was not at all as described. He was short and messy, and he had acne all over his face. Although betrayed and uneasy, Tina went along with the date. After spending an uncomfortable couple of hours at an ice cream shop with Danny, Tina decided to head home. The date was over, and so was this farce of a relationship. Over the next few weeks, the Bowen family began to notice strange occurrences within their home. Items around the house would be rearranged or missing. Food would disappear, and strange knocking noises would sound all over the house. The girls were convinced it was a ghost. One night, the family came home to find several disturbing messages scrawled on various walls in ketchup, like "Marry me and I'm in your room," "Come and find me." Even a knife was found stabbed into a family portrait hanging on the wall. Frank rushed through the house, looking for an intruder. He came across Daniel LaPlante, hiding in one of the closets. He was wearing a ski mask and brandishing a hatchet. Tina was able to escape through a window and alerted the authorities. When the police arrived, Daniel was long gone. With Daniel in the wind, Frank and his girls stayed in a hotel for a few days. Frank returned to the house to gather a few more things. Upon walking up to his home, he saw a man in the window. Frank called the police immediately. Searching the home, one officer noticed a hidden door behind a bookshelf. Once opened, they found Daniel LaPlante. For months, Daniel had been living inside the walls of the Bowens' house. Daniel was arrested and charged with armed assault, breaking and entering, and armed burglary. Less than a month after being released on bail for the crimes against the Bowen family, Daniel broke into the home of Andrew and Priscilla Gustafson. Andrew and Priscilla Gustafson were a young couple with 2 children, Abigail age 7 and William age 5. Priscilla was also several months pregnant with their 3rd child. December 1st, 1987 was a typical day for the Gustafson family. Andrew headed to work while Abigail hopped on the bus to school. Priscilla left William with a babysitter for a few hours so she could run some errands. Around 1 p.m., Priscilla picked up William and headed home. But upon entering her home, Priscilla was met with a young man standing in the entryway. It was Daniel LaPlante. He had been ransacking the Gustafson home when Priscilla and her son startled him. Daniel grabbed William and locked him in a closet. He then tied Priscilla to her bed, sexually assaulted her, and shot her twice in the head. Daniel went back to the closet and proceeded to drown William in the bathtub. As he was leaving the house, Daniel came upon Abigail returning home from school. She suffered the same fate as her younger brother. When Andrew returned home from work that evening, he found his entire family, his whole world, dead. The small town of Townsend, Massachusetts was in complete shock. Crime happens in every town, but the brutality of these murders was beyond. Who would murder a pregnant mother and her 2 small children? Detectives had a hunch, and it pointed straight to Daniel LaPlante. They immediately went to question Daniel at his mother's house, but Daniel had escaped into the surrounding woods. Soon, police received a call about a hostage situation not far from where Daniel made his escape. Danny had broken into the home of Pamela Macula. He held her at gunpoint and forced her into her car. They drove to the next town, where Pamela was able to jump out of the car and safely escape. After a brief search, Daniel LaPlante was found hiding in a trash can. He surrendered and was taken into custody. LaPlante was charged with triple homicide and found guilty of all. He was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences for the murders of Priscilla, Abigail, and William Gustafson. In 2017, Daniel's attorneys filed an appeal for sentencing due to previous court cases that ruled a juvenile convicted of murder should be allowed to re-engage into society. In June of 2019, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court ruled that Daniel LaPlante would not be eligible for parole, and he would remain imprisoned. However, Daniel LaPlante died while serving his consecutive life sentences until his death in 2014. Andrew Gustafson wore 2 wedding rings, one for his new marriage and one for his lost love, Priscilla. Viewers, this was the bizarre story of Daniel LaPlante, the boy in the cupboard, who murdered too many innocent people. Viewers, what you can say about this story, tell me in the comment box. Thanks for watching. If you found this story gripping, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling true crime stories. And remember, if you or anyone you know is battling dark thoughts, don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health professional. Until next time, take care of yourself, and I meet you in a new interesting video.